In spring and summer, severe weather can bring lightning, flooding, and other hazards. Sabit Nabasi with DuPage County Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Management is here to tell us about how you can be prepared for both flooding and lightning. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, which one would you like to start with? Should we talk about floods first?
Sure. Yeah, we could talk about floods.
Okay, now I know in Wheaton there have been some flooding issues in certain areas that the city is working to help residents out with. But what are some things that people can do to make sure they're not as affected if there's a huge rainstorm?
So there are a number of things residents can do before a flooding incident. One of the things is just identifying their flood risk. And if they are in a flood risk area, then purchasing flood insurance. Keep in mind, when you purchase flood insurance, it may take up to 30 days for the policy to take into effect. And generally, flood insurance companies do not allow purchasing of insurance policy if there's severe weather in the forecast and flooding in the forecast. So you have to keep those things in mind. So purchase them ahead of time and identify areas where it's prone to flooding. So if you generally take a road to go to work or go somewhere and you know that area generally floods, well, identifying other routes that you could take to get to your destination. And then we've talked in the past about having an emergency supply kit. Having some of those items with you ahead of time can help you even for floods. So making sure your items, the emergency kit items, are in a waterproof container. You've got copies of insurance policies, so you know exactly what is covered. You have food, water. You have some of the tools necessary. So if there is flooding in your basement or something, you know how to go shut off the gas valve and turn off the electricity. So learn those skills now before a flood happens. So that's a couple of things. And the other thing is just making a plan with your family. If there is a flood in the area and you need to evacuate, where would you go to? What location? So pre-identify those locations so your family can quickly go. And then some mitigation steps are elevating your furnace. So if you've got a furnace, water heater, washer, dryer, things of that, elevating them. So if you know that there's potential of flooding in your house, elevate those things so that they don't cause damage. Other things that come to mind is installing a sump pump. Make sure there's a backup battery to that sump pump. And then also look into installing check valves or overhead connections so that there's no backup sewage or something of that, because that's also a concern. Besides the actual flooding, well, sometimes if there's a lot of flood water, then people end up receiving backup sewage. So those are some things to do before.
Okay, I know driving is one of the more dangerous things when it comes to flooding. Can you talk about some of the dangers of driving through water?
Yeah, so driving, a few inches of water can sweep away a person. It'll knock you down. And so imagine, a few inches of water can basically sweep away a vehicle. Regardless of the type of vehicle, whether it's an SUV or a four-wheel drive, water will still sweep you away. So it's important that when you see a flooded road, we have a saying that says, "Turn around, don't drown." Basically, the reason for that is when you see a flooded road, don't even try to go through it, because you don't know if the road's been washed out underneath or if there's a pothole or something like that. So just turn around, find an alternative route, and so that you can avoid being in a situation where you end up drowning.
It seems like in the news when you see big flooded areas in different areas of the country, people becoming stranded because their vehicles drive in water.
Yeah, and you'll find videos where people will try to drive through and they get swept away. And not only do they get swept away, the car starts rolling because the water is such, we call it flash floods, where the water is coming at such a rate of speed that it'll roll over the SUVs. And there's so many examples where you'll see where no matter the size of the SUV, where it'll be affected by the water.
I know on the city's website there are a number of resources how people can get someone to come out from the stormwater division to talk about what they can do with their home.
Having a professional inspect and install the check valves as we've talked about, so that it's done professionally, and you make sure you keep all those receipts, so when you file an insurance claim, you have everything. I forgot to mention, here's another simple thing that people can do before an insurance. It's just document everything. When you file a claim, you need to be able to show proof of purchase, the cost of the item. So just keep an inventory of the items, some of the more expensive items, family heirlooms and stuff like that. Take photographs. Nowadays, many people have cell phones. They can take a picture of, a television or family heirlooms, picture, of stuff like that, just so that they can have it documented. And when they need to file a claim, they have everything they need.
Besides flooding, lightning is another concern. Spring, summer, even fall.
Yeah, with every storm, there's lightning. So lightning can be deadly. So I can't think of the number. I think it was 64% of lightning fatalities are when people are outdoors. And with spring, summer, people go outside, they enjoy the weather, they're going to ball games, outdoor activities, swimming. You have to pay attention to what's happening. If there's lightning, within 6 to 8 miles, seek shelter. There's no safe place outside. People think they could go underneath a tree or something like that. Well, if the tree is the tallest object in that area, it's going to get struck and it'll hurt you. So there's really no safe place outside. So when thunder roars, go indoors.
Another good thing.
Yes, easy to remember.
Right. In terms of pools and other parks and areas, I've heard there are lightning detectors. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, some places have lightning detectors where it's basically they have it connected to a detector, and when there's lightning in the area, then it starts flashing. And what that should tell you is, okay, well, there's lightning in the area, we should seek shelter and go indoors. So I remember when I used to play outside, the lightning would flash, and there's sometimes an audible sound, and that would indicate that there's lightning present in the area. We need to go indoors. So we would postpone the game until the storms pass, and then we would resume. So that is something to proactively look for whenever you go to games or outdoor activities. Find out what the weather is going to be like. And if there's potential for lightning, then identify those areas ahead of time rather than in the midst of it trying to find out, where do I seek shelter? Pre-identify those locations.
Are there any myths you can think of, like is it safe to lie flat outside, or what are some common misconceptions?
I think one of the myths that comes to my mind would be when it floods and besides people are able to drive through, they can outrun, or they could just run away from the floodwaters. You can't. I mean, you never know how fast the water's going, and people just think they're able to drive through, and that's not going to work. You can't drive through, and there are people that think they can, and they will try to show it off or show other people that, we've got a 4-wheel drive, we could do this and that. Well, it's not going to work. And bottom line is your life. Safety is very important. Safety is number one priority. So I think that's one thing that comes to my mind is just simple people driving through.
So if you see flooding, don't drive through it.
Don't drive through it.
Take some steps beforehand to protect your house. And for lightning, go indoors.
Go indoors, yeah. And then we can, if you want, we could go into a little bit about what to do during and after flooding also. Sure. There are a number of things, what you do is during a flood, you move to a higher ground. So identify areas in your neighborhoods where there are higher grounds. So if there's flooding in the area, you could go to a certain location, monitor a NOAA weather radio, watch the news. So if there are, authorities are issuing evacuation orders or just providing information, you have a way to receive those. And then even after the flood, there are a number of things that happen. Now you have to clean up your house. And there's water on the street. There could be a lot of diseases that could be spread. The water could have a lot of debris in there. You just don't know, especially nowadays, many people have chemicals and cleaners in their homes. Well, what if that gets washed away? You don't know what kind of stuff is in the water, so just be away from that area. People that are more prone could be, children or older Americans or people who have are more prone with their immune system can be prone to diseases that can affect them. So those are things to consider. And again, there are resources available on our website, protectdupage.org. So if you are building a new house or if you're renovating, there are tips available so you can take those into account when rebuilding homes, repairing homes.
Great. Well, I appreciate you being here to tell us about some of the things to look out for this season.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Sabit Abbasi with the DuPage County Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Management. When there's lightning in the area, we have a saying, when thunder roars, go indoors. There's no safe place outside. Similarly, for flooding, we have a saying that says, turn around, don't drown. When you see a flooded road, turn around, drive away, and find an alternative route to get away. For more information, please visit our website at protectdupage.org.